welcome back. I could not be more excited to kick off another mini skill building workshop with you on your path to becoming a more blissful broker. Today, I'm really excited to talk to you about automating reminders in order to help prevent some of that cognitive fatigue and, yes, burnout, of course. So before we get started, I want to make sure that you have already grabbed your automating reminders to prevent burnout action plan. If you haven't done so, make sure you hit pause and download that now and get it all ready to work through with me. Or of course, if you prefer, you can just sit through the first time and then work through the workbook on your own. Okay? So, again, I am Sarah Layton, the writer and designer behind most of your favorite real estate training programs and coaching programs for the last 10 years, operating as a ghost. And today I'm really excited to have you here for another little mini workshop where we are optimizing our productivity in search of fulfillment and more enjoyment in our business, because if we're going to scale something sustainable, we absolutely have to get more enjoyment out of it. So you're about to uncover one of my all-time favorite tools for consistent action and accountability, which is alarms and timers. It's so simple, but the best solutions in life and business, I find, often are the most simple. So the only reason I'm honestly able to create so much content is because I leverage Pomodoro timers. They go so far for me. Oh gosh. I don't know how I ever did function before using Pomodoros. So this exercise and mini workshop is really designed to help you do just that. So you're going to learn how to use an alarm system that works for you, how to reduce this mental fatigue by outsourcing reminders to alarms, and ultimately how to implement this small habit for more consistent production from your workflow. I'm really big at advocating that not just that like we work smart versus work hard. That's super cliche, right? But more so that we're just super intentional about the work that we're doing and that we're not performing work tasks purely to make ourselves feel worthy or validated or like we're doing something when maybe we're not doing anything meaningful. I'm no stranger to this. In fact, anything and everything that I talk to you about in any of these mini workshops is something that I have experienced in my own entrepreneurship journey. So please don't ever feel embarrassed or ashamed or anything like that. These are super normal human reactions to what you and I are experiencing as we grow our businesses. So it's time to give ourselves a break and make it a little bit easier in order to meet our goals using alarms and timers. Are you ready to get started? Okay. So before we dive in, I just want to remind you that in your workbook, you can access all of these handy dandy links to things like some juicy freebies, or if you wanted to maybe book a discovery call, you could also join my Roses and Thorns challenge. There's a 7-day free trial waiting for you on the other end of that link. And of course, I would love to have you just follow along with me on Instagram at Wildly Creative Sarah. And yeah, if you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, I'm going to ask you to hit the subscribe and that bell button right now so you never miss a juicy episode. Okay, so let's talk about why this particular time management skill is so important. So alarms and reminders are really useful in helping us to stay on schedule and whether you're a broker or a transaction coordinator or a lender, or you're working in title, or you're in marketing like myself. Well, at the end of the day, you're ultimately juggling tons of different deadlines, right? So it can be really easy to get overwhelmed very quickly. So, in order to remember tasks and transition smoothly between activities, there is a way that we can train our brain using alarms. So without them, it's easy to lose track of time and forget important commitments. And or if you are someone that likes to play around in Canva and you maybe struggle with things like perfectionism, you're definitely someone that likes to fiddle with details that don't necessarily matter because they're never going to make a real difference. And yet you have a way of dumping 20 minutes here, 5 minutes there, 40 minutes there to these little fiddle faddle tasks. And ask me how I know. So alarms go a really long way in helping to keep us focused and on task with the goals that we actually set for ourselves as the most meaningful goals for the day. Okay. So why might you be struggling with this like I have many times throughout the years? So maybe you set alarms but ignore them. Okay, so we're going to talk about that. Or maybe you forget to set reminders for important tasks only to kick yourself later. Or maybe you don't even like alarms because they feel disruptive or jarring or offensive to the senses, right? Or maybe you rely on memory a lot, but often forget things. If any of those sound like you, you're in the right place today. And I'm really excited to have you here. We're going to get right to work in installing these reminders and alarms based on how we work best and what works best for us. So I want to encourage you not to just automatically adopt Pomodoros because they work best for me. And side note, I think part of the reason that I love Pomodoros and having that timer counting down is that it almost feels like it gamifies the experience. And that's the attitude that I try to take into every Pomodoro, whether it's 15 minutes or 20 minutes or however long the timer might be for that session. So it's fun for me to like challenge myself and see if I can beat the timer for that task. And it just sort of helps the day move by quicker and in a more fun way, especially when I'm doing mundane or boring tasks that are less fun than some of my favorite activities, like designing gorgeous workbooks in Canva. Right? So if you are craving a little bit more playfulness to further nurture and foster your own creativity throughout the day, or maybe you've just been feeling bored in your work or anything like that, I do encourage you to give Pomodoros a try with that mindset and for that reason. Okay. But ultimately, what matters is that you find the best reminder method for you. Okay. This is not a one size fits all thing. So I'm asking you, which of these options do you think are going to work best for you? You could use phone alarms and set specific time reminders for key tasks and like automatically schedule them out to be repeating. And I will say that, like, again, if the noise is a thing for you, there are ways that you can, and Google this, I'm not going to take everyone's time with it, but there are really easy ways that you can just set your phone to different vibrate patterns or different types of alarms. And I think there's other apps out there for that as well. So don't just default to thinking about your like alarm that maybe you're using to wake up in the morning or something like that. And then there's also visual reminders. So these can include the sticky notes and the whiteboard lists or the habit trackers, which are super popular. But also I love these. There are little lights that you can get on Amazon very inexpensively. And I'll try to drop the link here for you if I remember. If I don't, leave a comment and say, hey, we need those links for the lights. But they make these adorable little lights specifically for this that are set to timers, and they will turn off automatically at the end of, like a 20-minute session or something like that, in order to give you that cue. And that's a little bit more gentle than the audio alarm. So that's another option to consider. A third is calendar notifications. So, of course, these are very easy to sync across multiple devices and clouds and all of that good stuff. I use Google for like everything. And that's a nice way of like taming that anxiety that you like, that maybe, you're missing something that you have written down somewhere else or something like that. Way you always have access to it from pretty much anywhere. And a lot of my audience is a big fan of digital planners, which is why I design them, right? So if that's you, let me know in the comments, and I'd be happy to drop you a special little coupon to go pick out your first one. And then finally, accountability partners. These are really, really popular, and we talk about accountability throughout this series. So this is ultimately just someone who checks in with you and probably has a similar goal or another habit that they're also working on. So you work together to hold each other accountable to these goals that you have set. And a lot of people find that this really works very well for them. And let me know if that's you, because I definitely want to continue bringing more resources to help you get the most out of your accountability partnerships and coaching as well. Okay, moving right along. It's time to talk about setting up your reminders. So you're going to use your workbook to kind of jot down your thoughts about this, and then you can put your thoughts into action. That's what this is. It is your action plan. So you're going to start by picking a task that you often forget and set a reminder for it. So what is that thing that you are constantly kicking yourself for, guilting and shaming and all of the things, and just always saying like, oh, I'm never gonna let that happen again. Like, I'm not gonna drop that ball again. And then it happens again, because you're human and that's what brains do, right? So this is the day that we are tackling it. It's never gonna happen again. Okay. We're taking care of it right now, sister. So, write down what that task is. And then next, we're going to make a note of what reminder or reminders, maybe it's a combination of two or all four, or like what, maybe you need all the reminders to start in the beginning in order to help you implement this new habit. So I want you to take a moment and make note of those. And part of the reason, always remember the reason that we are writing these things down pen to paper. There's a few, actually. It's really good for us cognitively to be doing this. It makes a difference for us to be seeing and feeling ourselves writing the words out, believe it or not. Remember Hooked on Phonics? There's a lot of science behind it. So we're tapping into some of that science here. And then ultimately, this is going to make it a lot simpler for you to take action in a moment in order to do this. Plus, anytime that you find yourself up against this issue or something similar again, you're going to have this handy dandy little guide for yourself to refer back to in order to set up the reminder like an SOP. In fact, this is a great way for you to develop an SOP and to train your team of virtual assistants or whoever you're working with. So after you've notated what's going to be the best reminder for you, I want you to make a note of how you can make these reminders easier to follow. So maybe for you, that's labeling. Maybe it's color coding. Maybe it's being really strategic and intentional about the times, right? And then today, before you move on with your day, I want you to take a moment and reflect. Okay, what is one small habit that you can build to make reminders part of your routine in order to further train your brain to respond to these reminders? That's really where I want you to spend the most time as you continue to move throughout your day and to journal about that. So thank you so much for joining me. Please drop all of your questions so that I can make sure that I am answering them and that you don't feel like you have been left in the lurch or anything like that. And I can't wait to see you for our next mini workshop.